disclaimer. I'm speaking today as an individual and not the Asian Pacific Center for Security Studies, which I'm a founding member of the United States government, of which they consider is an organization. And actually, I'm here more to learn about climate science and policy in Bangladesh than I am to teach. But I thought it would be a good idea to try and provide a broader background and a regional consideration, which might provide something of a context within which you folks who are more expert in climate change in Bangladesh than I might work. This is an outline of my presentation. I'm going to start with the science briefly because I think most of you are familiar with it. Then we'll talk a bit about the environmental impacts of climate change. Move from environmental impacts to human security, and from human security to some of the state security dimensions of climate change in the Asia-Pacific region. And then we'll bring it to an end with observations and conclusions. Global warming is a fact. There's no question about it. It's based on observation. The graph provided here gives a 12-month running mean indication of the temperature anomalies between 1880 and the year 2000. And as you can see, during that period, the average global land temperature index of the planet has increased by approximately 1 degree centigrade. So if global warming is a fact, then what is climate change? Climate change is a theory that seeks to explain the observations based on 3 parts. One part is our scientific knowledge of the greenhouse effect. The second are actual measured increases in atmospheric greenhouse gases. And the third is computer simulation models of greenhouse gas emissions and their impact on future climate. The greenhouse effect, if anyone's not familiar with it, essentially is this. The solar radiation from the sun is the source of all energy for the planet Earth, aside from a little nuclear radiation left over from radioactive elements in the core. This isn't working all that well. The radiation comes through the atmosphere and warms the Earth, where some of that radiation is converted from visible and ultraviolet light into infrared radiation, infrared light, and that then escapes the planet and radiates back into outer space. The amount of that re-radiation, of the infrared radiation, depends upon the composition of the atmosphere. And the greenhouse effect is named so because it works like a greenhouse, where you put glass in front of the area that you want to keep warm. The glass lets the transparent visible light through, it blocks the infrared light going out, and the greenhouse is warm. And that's how the atmosphere works. And the more greenhouse gases that you put into the atmosphere, the larger the effect. And so global warming, according to the climate change theory, is due primarily to this greenhouse gas effect. And once more, this is also backed up by observation, in that the measured amount or proportion of carbon dioxide, which is principal greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, has observably risen between 1960 and 2010, increasing from 320 parts per million to 380, as measured in my home state of Hawaii at the top of the Mountain Mauna Loa. Based upon this kind of data and this kind of information, climate scientists use computer models to attempt to predict what may happen under a variety of scenarios. The lines on this graph are taken from the 4th IPCC assessment report that was issued in 2007. One interesting thing to come out of that is this. All of the different models, which tend to look at worst case, best case, middle case, all the different models are fairly close together in their predictions for what may happen between now and the year 2030, over the next roughly 20 years. But once you get out beyond that, once you get toward the end of this century, for example, those models diverge rather greatly, so that a difference of something on the order of half a degree centigrade, 1 degree Fahrenheit, between the model predictions for the next 20 years, but a difference of something on the order of 3 degrees centigrade, or about 6 degrees Fahrenheit,